Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Zerg, where we find ourselves on Hardwire. Spawning right here in the top right-hand corner of the map, playing with the red Terran SCVs from South Korea. His name is GuMiho. His opponent in the opposite corner, once again opting to go for a very quick gas geyser as well as a quick spawning pool. Likewise, also from South Korea, we have one of the very best players in the world, and his name is Dark. I don't really know exactly what's happened to Dark's playstyle in this matchup. Don't get me wrong, he's winning a lot, he's doing just fine, but there's no denying that he has shifted from being a very passive Zerg with the occasional roach push and maybe the occasional Zergling aggression. He's just been opening up with very quick spawning pools and very quick gas geysers. I kind of thought it had to do with him facing off against Bjorn a couple of times, because Bjorn obviously, well, they seem to be good friends. And Bjorn definitely likes to proxy a couple of barracks on the other side of the map as well, so maybe Dark was just trying to play against that. But I've seen him now do this build against most Terran players out there. So, okay, he's going to leave one drone in gas. Normally you pull off at 100 and just go metabolic boost. Okay. He really wanted to have that additional 12 gas, apparently. It's going to be Zergling speed right here from Dark. This does, of course, delay his expo. But judging here from GuMiho, he's going to send that SCV that was building the barracks towards the low ground. He is not going to go for a worker scout. At that point, the question is he going to go for a Marine as a follow-up? You kind of have to go for a Marine as a follow-up, but every once in a while, even at the pro level, we see straight reactor. If it is going to be a straight reactor, these Zerglings can deal so much damage, because what Dark is going to do is dodge the Reaper path, right? So the Reaper is going to go straight across the map. Overlord will see this path as well, so the OV right here will see exactly where the Reaper is moving. Zerglings are already waiting right there on the left side. He's going to wait a little bit longer until more Zerglings arrive. It is going to be a Marine here as a follow-up, which is super critical. Alright, and now the Zerglings run in. Reaper should come back home right away. Marine is out. SCVs are pulled from the main mineral line as well. Reaper actually goes into the main base. Okay. So we're gonna keep a lot of SCVs on idle. That's super expensive, honestly. Okay. Ooh, one Zergling group right here with Link speed right now. Queen is out too. They're gonna be able to push that back just fine. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, I really feel like Dark should probably engage this, although he's waiting for additional Zerglings to show up, and he really wants to snipe the SCV. Okay, that was building the command center. He should commit. Like before another... Okay, now he fights right as the next Marine is out as well. Either way, this is still gonna deal quite a bit of damage. I think he probably should have gone in just a little bit quicker. Okay. 7 SCVs right there. Good amount of damage regardless, but obviously that was a pretty big economical commitment right there from the Zerg player as well. Dark only just now finishing up the natural, and he's only at 14 workers right here, but obviously he's going to be able to power out quite a few more over the next couple of minutes. Not a whole lot of damage here that the Terran player can do, at least for another little while. I think the bunker will probably push back any sort of Zerg aggression here for now. Alright, so a couple people reached out and mentioned that apparently this game on Hardwire between these two is really sick, because GuMiho plays like the most aggressive style you can play. Apparently he goes for a push that just never ends. So I'm quite excited for it. A lot of Terrans, especially on Hardwire, have been playing very passive styles recently, right? Like, for example, Mr. Maru going for a command center, and then another command center, and then another command center, and then another command center, and then... Right? Like, that style, we've seen that a bunch recently, and it's a lot of fun to watch as well, don't get me wrong. But apparently GuMiho goes for, like, the exact opposite style here, where he just does not stop attacking. Now, I haven't seen this game yet. I don't know who wins. Although, if I were to make a guess, in my mind, Dark is definitely the stronger player overall. I think Dark is like the rank 4 in the world right now, according to Aligalek. GuMiho is the rank 30. Dark just, you know, a little bit better overall, I think. But there's no denying that GuMiho can definitely catch his opponents off guard with his crazy playstyle. Like GuMiho, he plays some of the absolute most fun Terran that you can go for. And yeah, I'm excited to find out what he does here. So he is going to go for the Stimpeg research. I feel like historically GuMiho always played a lot of mech. And now that mech is actually a pretty viable strategy, ish. I haven't seen it much over the last few months, but it's relatively viable. He actually has been playing a lot of bio armies instead, which is kind of funny. Like, he played mech when bio was the only option. And now, you know, mech seems to be reasonably okay, and he plays mostly bio. Not entirely sure. Anyhow. The worker count has been steadily growing, though, on both sides. It looks like Gumi is gonna go for some sort of, like, awkward 2-1-1 here. Yeah, so normally, this is the point in the game, 5 minutes and 10 seconds, 5 minutes and 20 seconds, where the two medevacs are flying across the map, both filled with Marines, right? So you go for a 16 Marine drop. Normally, it would already be heading across the map, and you would finish Stimpack along the way. Instead now, well, Stimpack is done. Combat shields are started up already as well. It's a bit of an anti-timing right now for Gumi. Continuous scouting here as well from Dark, so he should know exactly what he's going up against. The real trick right here for Zerg is to figure out how many drones can you get away with before you need to make an army, right? So the longer you have workers active for, the more minerals they will gather throughout a game, right? So getting workers sooner rather than later is definitely preferable. The problem is if you only make drones, believe it or not, you can't actually hold a lot of aggression. All right, is this the point? Is this the point where Gumi won't stop, or is it going to be one of the follow-up attacks? I'm excited to see this. Aliens at the front. Another scan right there. Does get rid of a couple of creep tumors. Marines right here on the right side, although he's... yeah. Ooh, it's one of the Korean announcers. That's the one that Gumi is using, apparently. Oh, no, it's actually the one that Dark is using. He dropped right on the edge right there of the creep, which is never what you want to do, because Zerg can just see you, so they can prepare in advance. Hellions right here on the left side also do get cleaned up easy peasy. Some decent target firing here as well by the Marines. All of the Queens now are out of energy, so... okay, I don't think that was the never-ending push. Nah, I don't think that was it. Not a great start right here for Gumi, though. Nah. Like, he could have prevented all of that by just going for an SCV scout, right? That's what we see in 99% of the games. Okay, maybe not 99%. Maybe, like, 90% of the games. For very good reason. Especially if you skip it against Dark, who's apparently, I don't know, at the time of the year where he's going very early spawning pools almost every time. It's just not a good idea to skip the scout. Obviously, at the pro level, though, and maybe that's the reason why, Gumi knows that he is definitely going up against someone who is the favorite in the series. Maybe he's thinking, okay, I need to cut a corner, right? That SCV scout doesn't seem like a big deal, but it ends up being like 100 minerals. Just because for every second that the SCV is not mining, you're losing resources, right? So it's definitely something that, yeah, comes into the mix. So maybe he decided to be cutting a corner there and just try his very best moving forward. Not an ideal start, but definitely not the end of the world either. But so far, Dark has definitely been in charge of this game. All right. 8 minutes into the game, the next attack is coming up. Siege tank on the high ground, preventing at least all of those SCVs from dying. Another siege tank, though, on the other side of the map. Usually it's... yeah, it's in the... oh, there's two. Wow, I didn't even see that second one. What? Where did that come from? Was that there all the time? I didn't see it! Anyways, Zerg coming in from the back as well. Those links that were going in for the run-by are now being used to try and clean up the siege tanks right over here. Looks like the tanks are surrounded and they will be killed. Another perfect cleanup right there from Dark. That being said, Baning Speed, seconds away from finishing. Look at that, actually. Look how in sync these guys are. Despite the crazy early game, all of those upgrades, that's actually so sick, right? Like, the level of play in StarCraft is so ridiculously high that even after an unorthodox start, they're like, yep, this is the exact moment where I need to start up the upgrades. I love StarCraft, man. Like, over the years, the game has become such a high-level game. So much better than what we used to have in Wings of Liberty and Heart of the Swarm and stuff. I mean, it got much better near the end of those expansions, but... anyways, this is not a terrible fight there for Gumi, yeah. +1/+1 versus +1/+1. Terran has not started up +2 yet. This is that really shitty moment, right? This happens to, like, your average Gold League Terran, and apparently now to GuMiho as well, where you're trying to start up +2, and you realize I forgot the armory. It happens to everyone. It sucks. It happens to everyone except Maru, okay? It doesn't really happen to Maru. Anyways, not being able to go straight into 2-2 does certainly hurt. GuMiho, though, still fighting. I think this is the beginning, by the way, of the never-ending push. Well, when it first got underway at, like, the 8-minute mark. He's going to be forced to defend against Zerglings right now at home, and obviously when you're playing aggressively, these Zergling run-bys deal even more damage. That siege tank, though, is going to be absolutely critical when it comes to defending. Looks like the siege tanks on the low ground, together with a couple of the Marines, are working at the hatch. A little bit of energy still remaining for the Queens, and they're going to be able to keep that base alive. At the same time, a Marine drop right here on the left side of the map as well. Love the fact that he's going into that little nuke. Not that it's really giving him any value, but at the very least, it's going to be tricky to clean up. Hatchery at the 4th did end up going down, and it looks like not that many of the SCVs were countered. Nice bit of aggression over here by the Terran player in red. He's going to try and work, okay, on another hatch, and he actually snipes it. 2 more bases end up going down right there. Well, 2 bases in total right here, going down on the side of the Zerg. GuMiho making some excellent moves. Would have liked to see him be a little bit more aggressive over here too, though, because this drop doesn't seem like it's doing anything. Anyhow, Zerg already did prepare an extra hatchery too. And he's going to be able to transfer at least some of those workers over in that spot. Drop over here continues. GuMiho moving in from the right. This fight has now been ongoing since the 8-minute mark. I love it. Pick up, pick up, pick up. Nice pick up. Except for those guys right over there. Don't worry, though. You don't name your Marines. Apparently, it's not a big deal if that's the case. That was my mistake as a child. I would name every single one of my units Martin the Marine. I would grow too attached to them, you know? You need to apparently see them as tools. Yeah, it sounds a bit mean, but they're 50 minerals and they can fight. That's it, man. Anyways, the fight continues. GuMiho still has the drop right over there on the right side of the map. He's now also threatening to go with his main army. In the meantime, though, Dark has stacked up all the way to a Hive. He's going into Viper play over here. Does he already have a lurker then? Because I think that's probably going to be the next order of business. No. In the middle of all of this, he did not get that going. Hatchery once again forced to be cancelled. Zerglings over here, I mean, waiting for the Banelings to show up. Huge Terran army on the left side of the map too. Okay. That Baneling did connect. These are going to roll through that wall as well. At the same time, though, a huge amount of damage over here is being done. Overlords are being popped like balloons, and, well, that hatchery is gone before the siege tanks can even properly siege up. Lings are going to come back right now to try and defend at home, because there's not a whole lot of mining going on. Yeah, Dark is now effectively on just 2 base economy. GuMiho, though, never made a 4th command center, so he's only on 3 command centers here in total. He's going 2nd factory and all that, but this is like one of those all-ins, right? Where you're trying to get work done, but you need to make sure you eventually win the game or go for a 4th CC. GuMiho right now, 30 supply up. I think this is the time to go for a 4th command center, my man. You need to start it up, because otherwise... Like, Dark is not someone who rolls over very easily, especially when he's got Vipers out and now he's going into Lurkers. It's one of those very scary moves where you can get this tempo lead, you can clean up all the bases, you can go and clean up some of the creep and all that too, but eventually there's going to be 7 Lurkers here on the high ground, and you can't really push without having a good economy or like a bunch of Marauders in the front or, you know, ideally some Ghosts, right? Like, that tempo lead can be very quickly going into the favor of the Zerg. Okay. The all-in continues. Yeah, if he didn't start up a 4th CC yet, I don't think he's going to start it up either. Okay, this is a beautiful engagement, though, for the Terran player. Loses a huge chunk of his army, but, I mean, those siege tanks have been worth their weight in gold, although that micro right there was questionable. Huge amount of Terran units, though, once again. All army hotkeyed to the other side of the map. I would love to see a scan here, Gumi. Can we please get rid of some of that creep? Instead, we're going to try and scan a little bit further forward. Needs to siege up those tanks, trying to go in for a juicy connection, I suppose. Anyways, we have some blinding clouds happening right now, too. Vipers are kept alive for now. One abduction being used, too, and that siege tank will go down. Tank over there is going to be able to fire once more after the blinding cloud wears off. Not a whole lot available right here for Dark to clean this up, but he does now have 1 lurker. All right, 1 lurker doesn't sound like a lot, but I've heard that as soon as Terrans see a lurker, they immediately get scared and think they need ghosts. Actually, it's dealing a lot of damage. Eventually, it does go down over here. He needs a little bit of time, man. If Dark is given any time, there's going to be like a dozen lurkers. And that's exactly what GuMiho is trying to avoid right here by continuously pushing. He is now all in since the 8-minute mark. Okay, instead what we're going to do is going to use the command center to fly on over towards the 4th base location. Dark is doing a phenomenal job, though, staying in this game. Pretty much every Zerg player at this point would have already crumbled under the pressure, but he's respreading creep. He's got his head cool enough to go into Lurker as well. He's going for some counterattacks, and he's trying to set up run-bys. It's honestly very hard to do. He's keeping control of his side of the map somewhat. His main goal is to go into lurkers and wait until the Terran player runs out of money. Obviously, SCVs are being transferred right now towards the new base. Lurkers here on the high ground can shoot all the way down towards that siege tank. That's exactly what's going on right here. Dark's eco is by no means big, but at this point he is getting to an army that is very cost efficient. By the way, we have a couple of swarm hosts accidentally added into the mix. It's to do with the queen inject method that these top tier programmers like to use. He's apparently still finding the APM to activate it as well from time to time. That siege tank probably should be targeted down. I don't think it can reach. No, it's barely out of range right there. Actually, good positioning on that. Lurker's gonna go around the side instead, and I think eventually that tank will indeed get picked off. Once more though, GuMiho is pushing forward. Dealing a bunch of damage over here, killing a ton of Zerg stuff. Dark trying to hang on by the skin of his teeth. And now the lurker count is growing. GuMiho never made a transition towards a 4th command center. He's not even been dropping mules either, actually, which also kind of sucked. But he never, like, has the money in this sort of game, right? Because he never even took the gases over here either. He's never got the money in this sort of game to eventually go into ghosts. So Dark, after being under threat for literally more than half of this game, that fight was going on for the better part of 16, or I guess for 18, or 8 minutes. There you go. Numbers are hard. Anyways, he's gotta go for the Nydus network. Now, there is an overlord. Is that Otto? Otto the overlord who lived by the skin of his teeth? I don't know if overlords have teeth, but he just barely stayed alive at like the 2-minute mark of this game. I think he's gonna be the one providing vision inside of the Terran's main base to pop down a Nydus network, and GuMiho has one dark spot right over there in the corner. He has no idea that there's a potential for a Nydus worm at this point either, although he did just scan it, so that's nice. Okay. No way for the Terran to push here. No way, dude. You can't go in there. Really? We're gonna try and siege up right over there? Well, that means that the lurkers will immediately reposition, try and get into a better spot. That was far too greedy right there from the Terran player, going for almost like a desperation move. He knows he's on the clock. If he doesn't go for a transition anytime soon, he's gonna be in so much trouble. Perfect positioning right here, though, by Dark. Going into the main base with the Nydus worm. The network was spotted, but no response here from Gumi. I think Gumi may have gotten a little bit carried away right there in the aggression. There was an opportunity where he had like 50 supply on his opponent, and he never started up a 4th base or never transitioned away from the aggression. Now he's got a Zerg infestation inside of the main base, and that is one of the worst case scenarios. When you're stuck on a marine tank-based army, how in the world are you gonna clear out lurkers on the high ground? Without liberators, without ghosts, you can't do much. What you can do, though, is go in for the counterattack. One group of marines inside of the main base, but Gumi, at this point, recognizes his predicament, and he decides to GG out. I really think GuMiho had a very good shot at winning this game. There was this one point where I think Zerg was at like 140 supply and he was at like 190. That would have been the moment to go for an additional command center and then add on the additional gases and make sure you get additional infrastructure going, because it was clear that Dark wanted to go in the direction of going Hydra, Lurker, Viper, and just Marine Tank. It is not going to cut it. Anyways, I guess in GuMiho's mind, he probably assumed he would have won the game by then, but he took a chance and it didn't pay off.